Let me take myself off of mute. Hey, good evening. How you doing, Curtis? You're here early. That's cool. Hey, listen, I'm here to talk about everybody's favorite topic: diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's kind of funny. I did this live 2 months ago, and I just called this a part two. But that was before the directive came out. But we really can't say anything. The man did exactly what he said he was going to do. Hey, yeah. So yeah, before we get started, make sure when you come in, anybody, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That's a good thing. I see this super chat coming up. I'm reading in a second. Let's get some more people in here. And let me do this under yeah, let's definitely hit that cash app, everybody. That does the channel good. And I'm gonna put something in the comment box. It's gonna say BMU, but it's me. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And all right. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So I'm in. How you doing? So let me go ahead and just an early super chat. Why don't we do it real early? Curtis Moore, $1.99. Good evening, Mr. Payne. Good to see you again. I appreciate it. BMU appreciates the Cash App and well, not Cash App, but Super Chat. And this is pretty good because we need to definitely fund this particular channel. Keep it going. I see BMU is having new guests, new shows, which is all good. Help the channel grow. Never know which one of these lives is going to hit it big and take the channel to the next level. That'll be good for us all. It's no problem. Anyway, so I am trying not to get too depressed that football season's almost over. And there's no Monday night football. There's one game left, and the Chiefs are back in it. I think Philly is going to give them a run for their money, but I don't know. I don't know if they're going to beat the Chiefs. Yeah, Mahomes is on a historic run, and I think he's determined to do Michael Jordan to a whole bunch of people who could be would-be Hall of Famers but never get a ring. So he's well on his way to doing that. Of course, they could lose the game, but it's going to be a great game, I believe. They got to figure out how they're going to stop Saquon Barkley. That guy is finding holes all over the place, and he ain't missing a lick. He get a hole, he's gone. But getting back to this DEI, what we're talking about today, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what it might mean to us as Black folk, now that it's, I guess, by executive order, definitely going to be taken out of the federal government. Now, one of the things that we need to know based on my previous live that, we're in a post-DEI era and merit and competition is going to be at the forefront. But one of the things I think we need to also understand is that companies were downsizing or getting rid of their DEI offices and emphasis even before Trump took office. Now, you could say maybe they were doing it in anticipation of Trump, or they were just going to do it because they don't see the value added to their bottom line for having a separate program for diversity. Now, one of the things I showed in the last live was a clip that said that there's two aspects to DEI. One is the mandated aspect, and the people don't like mandates. And the other one was organic DEI, where diversity directly helps the bottom line of a particular company. And so they didn't need a mandate. The companies by themselves volunteered to, to have a diversity program so they weren't monolithic, so they could reach broader audiences. So that's why, that's how DEI works best. When it's voluntary and the companies see the bottom line merit, in having diversity in their organization. All right, hello, Cotillia, how you doing? You know, let me see what you're saying, because DEI initiatives in corporate spaces aren't profitable anymore. If they ever were, if they ever were. I mean, I think they were. I think affirmative action was the first form of DEI, and it probably served this purpose as a prerequisite to, or preliminary, I would call preliminary reparations program, as part of an extension to civil rights. You wanted to get people to have a job. It may have worked a little bit. And then it was hijacked. It was hijacked by white women. And so is DEI, by the way. I'll get more into that. It's been hijacked. So, and black men, no matter how you look at it, when you look at DEI and you look at the pecking order, they don't even talk about black people anymore. They talk about people of color. So when you talk about diversity, white women are at the top. And then you have the rainbow Skittle community in the second layer, such as it is, because a lot of them are white too. And then you have people of color. And when they say people of color, they're almost saying everybody except your black ass. And if you're a man, if you're a black man, you're way down on the totem pole. They'll take a black woman, Hispanic, Asian, and they'll go down the pecking order, and a black man will be somewhere on the bottom. So these programs don't serve black men at all. Matter of fact, I think most black men will say if they got a job, they earned it based on their merit. Nobody gives us shit. Nobody gives us shit except our black women, of course. Hey, Kateria, how you doing? I said hi again, but I like that. Hey, boomer. Anyway, so I want to kind of take us back to the clip, one of the clips I did on the first video that kind of went through how corporate entities are looking at diversity. And they look at it through two lenses. The first one is the mandated lens, which is negative, and is a gentleman, I guess he's in the Starbucks family or something, who is hard against DEI. And then they talked a little bit about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and being an organic part of some operations, and it works real well. So so even now, so here's what I would say, and I'm gonna say some more of this. Even now, with DEI being taken out of the federal government and starting to get taken out of the commercial enterprises, right? I think the inroads are enough where I think black folks who are taking it to heart, we need to stop acting like the only people they're pointing at, it's us. That once it's gone, that we'll never be able to get another job. I mean, first of all, that's not true. And let me tell you why it's not true. I mean, it's not true mentally. It's just not true in practice. If you go up to the average black person or Hispanic person or anybody who's not white and ask them how they got their job, and you tell them, hey, you only got your job because it's DEI, you're a DEI hire, they'll argue with you tooth and nail. They'll say, hey, listen, I went to school, I did my work, my resume speaks for itself, I got this job based on my merit. I bet you if you ask 10 people, 9 out of 10 will probably say that. Right? I mean, I know I'd say that, and I got the credentials and the scars to prove it. And I think a lot of people will say that. Hey, I got my job because I deserve it, right? Anybody come in, make sure you hit the like button. So if that's true, if everybody got their job based on merit, why do we think because this DEI initiative is going to go away, that it's going to hurt people who actually got their jobs by merit? The merit system is going to go away with it? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't jive. If somebody had to get their job on DEI, which I don't see anybody readily admitting that shit. I saw Joy Reid. I don't know why I was watching her show. I have to take a hit for this. I watched this show as much as I could stomach. This was after the Supreme Court ruled against affirmative action, which was mostly taken up by Chinese people, Asian people, by the way. They all got it overthrown. And Joy Reid came on the channel in one of her silly rants, and she said, and I'm only paraphrasing. She made a claim that the only reason why she got in her Ivy League school, maybe that might be true, is because she was a Black woman, and that she got the job at MSDNC because she's a Black woman. Now, I said, she would never have admitted anything like that if she wasn't trying to prove a point that we're going to lose something with affirmative action. Because before affirmative action was overturned, she would have never admitted that. She's a hypocrite. She's a liar. And I don't believe any news station is going to put somebody in prime time that doesn't actually deserve to be there, because it's all about money. They're not going to put some asshole in a prime time slot just because they're Black. And even if they did, it has to be profitable within the Black community, right? So they were still merit based on, hey, we're going to put this liberal Black woman person in this slot because we want to capture the Black woman audience. Right? To me, that's actually merit, right? That's actually something that's beneficial for her being there. That's organic. That's not because they wouldn't put a lily white blonde person in that slot to get the Black woman audience. So they put the right person in the right slot because they were going after a targeted audience. That's how this shit happens. That's how it works. So I don't know, man. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip real early. Thanks some people coming in. And it's an old clip. So anybody who came to the sort of live 2 months ago saw this clip, but it's really short. And I just wanted to hit it again to kind of talk about how to start us off looking at how the corporations are looking at DEI. And this is before Trump took office and before he wrote that directive. So bear with me for a second. It's in here somewhere over the rainbow. All right. Here it is.
You've probably heard quite a bit.
DEI. DEI.
And DEI.
And DEI.
DEI.
DEI is representation. It's the number of people that you have in the organization that mirror the labor force availability.
The police killing of George Floyd and subsequent protests became a tipping point for companies across America. Fortune 1000 companies publicly acknowledged the importance of racial diversity, pledging $340 billion to promote change. But that is starting to change. The commitment to DEI appears to be wavering.
Squawk, Deere is pulling back from DEI measures.
Technology companies made big cuts to those DEI programs.
Lowe's is the latest company to roll back DEI efforts.
Major players have pulled back their initiatives amid growing conservative pressures, uncertain economic conditions, and a politicization of the practice.
Harley joins Tractor Supply Company and Polaris in scaling back or changing DEI policies following a campaign by activist Robbie Starbuck.
Well, there's a new player in the marketplace, and that is the conservative consumer who has woken up to the fact that many companies have divorced from the idea that customers are king.
But DEI advocates argue that this retreat may be overstated. Is it the normal ebb and flow of social initiatives, or is there a shift in corporate culture?
There's both, but this is the guy I was talking about, Robbie Starbuck. He got enough traction to start to hold companies to task for their DEI operations, and he made a lot of traction. But let's go.
DEI is diversity, is representation. It's the number of people that you have in the organization that mirror the labor force availability.
When we're challenged with growth opportunities, we're often told to think bigger. You've got to think bigger. Well, you in and of yourself and your existing team in your existing structure can't think bigger without new perspectives. And that's what leading bigger is widening your perspective by including others.
Despite challenges, a 2024 study found 75% of U.S. executives highly prioritize DEI, and those executives are being more vocal about their support. In a letter to shareholders, JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon said that the initiatives are driving inclusivity, innovation, and stronger financial performance. And MasterCard's chief administrative officer acknowledged the company's continued commitment to equality and fairness. Diversity among CEOs is also improving, with more women, Black, Asian, and Latino people occupying the position since 2019.
All right, it says more women, but look at the Black, Asian, Latino, but it didn't split it up within, for Black, is that men? Is that women? Who do they, how many, which kind of women did they put in the 27%? I mean, that's, or the 30-something percent. I didn't really study this. Women, who would they mean? White women? Then they got white down there, 88% white people. I don't know, so I got to really study that chart. Maybe I just, glancing over it, trying to figure out what it means.
Over 70% of leaders choose proteges that are of the same race and gender. We like comfortable, we gravitate to comfortable, but what we have to realize in today's world and tomorrow's future, comfort means stagnation. It means a lack of change, a lack of forward movement.
So if you look around the room and everybody.
Well, she says something really, which is has never changed, even with these programs. People do gravitate towards the people they can relate to. So that means that Black folks and other folks who are not white need to kind of network in more circles than just Black circles. Because a lot of times these jobs are based on who you know, right? Not just what you know, but who you know, who you've been around, how you rubbed elbows. How did you serve the organization in front of the people who, will not only hire you, but promote you. Right. So a lot of that stuff has to go on. Now, you can't be an introvert as a Black guy in an organization full of white folks. Right. If you're the spook who sat by the door, you're going to have to be able to relate at some level with all the people in that organization. I mean, I've been there. You don't have to turn white. You don't have to lose yourself. But you certainly shouldn't be talking ebonics when you're talking to these folks.
Who's sitting there as a white male and you're trying to sell products to a multiracial world marketplace and you don't have anybody who represents that thinking, then you're probably not going to do very well in the marketplace.
DEI advocates point to several benefits, including improved innovation, recruitment, and company reputation.
We say we don't want to have people figure out how they fit in. We want to help people figure out how they stand out.
In 2023, more than 75% of companies in the S&P 500 use DEI metrics in the pay of CEOs and other C-suite executives. Still, less than half of U.S. corporate employees say their executive teams reflect the diversity of their employees in 2024.
Well,
one of the problems
okay, wait a minute.
with diversity initiatives is getting shareholders on board.
All right, so it's not just the shareholders. It's also what you mean by diversity. I mean, in my organization, it was funny. I was in a temporary position as a division chief, and they had like a review and analysis where everybody in the organization, like 1,000 people, get together, and the guy who's the director or gal puts up an org chart, and the org chart he called it diversity, right? Because he had 5 white men, and he had a woman on there, and another woman who was of Arab descent, but her skin color was white, and she passes for a Caucasian, and he called that diversity. And I had to do everything in my power not to yell out, but from my perspective, that's not diversity, right? So it depends on who's looking at it. And as far as the CEOs, if you put an incentive in their performance clauses to meet diversity quotas, they're going to find a way to meet it, even if it doesn't mean anything, right? That doesn't mean they're going to hire. It depends on what those clauses say, right? And then they could game the system, so to speak, and they could. And then they'll come to resent the system because if it's not organic to their business model, when their primary focus should be on making money for the shareholders, This is where the shareholders come in. You know, anything that detracts from them making money, you know, and that goes to their bonuses is, you know, it's just dead weight.
Especially when it is hard to translate to dollars.
Everything doesn't have to be quantitative. So we live in a society where if you can't count it, if you can't quantify it, then it doesn't matter.
And these are some of the sample metrics around the power of inclusion and inclusive workplaces. You've got over 70% more likelihood to generate revenue from innovation revenue, which is, you know, new products and services revenue. You have 70% more likelihood to capture new markets. You have a higher level of team performance. You have a higher level of collaboration. And importantly, given how critical talent is today, you have a much lower risk of attrition.
In recent years, DEI efforts have seen an uptick in pushback, and more than 100 bills have been introduced in 30 states aimed at restricting these initiatives. And some executives are increasingly wary of taking public stances on social issues, which could cause legal risks to businesses. 9 in 10 executives believe taking a public stance on a social issue is riskier than staying silent, according to one study.
It's a broader swath of Americans who are just sick of all the divisive woke stuff. They just want to be able to exist in the marketplace.
Recently, several major publicly traded companies and household names, including Tractor Supply, John Deere, Harley-Davidson, Ford, and Lowe's, scaled back their DEI.
Now, remember now, after this is all pre-Trump, right? He's still not president, or he still hasn't signed those directives. He didn't take office yet. I think I did this video, I think it was November 20th. So the election was over, but he wasn't, you know, in charge just yet. But these companies were already downsizing or eliminating their DEI programs, and because the mandates, I guess, maybe didn't have any teeth, or the programs weren't making them any money. You know, so at some point in this whole conversation today, we're going to talk about Al Sharpton's boycott, which I don't think is going to work. It's going to get a little steam, but it's not going to work. But we'll get to that.
Policies.
As we look down that list of most trusted brands by conservatives in America, we realized they all had these policies, and they were all opposed to the fundamental values and tenets and beliefs of conservative consumers.
Robbie Starbuck has over 1 million followers across his social media platforms and has been able to galvanize conservative consumers.
So there's a real financial incentive for companies to look and take very seriously what we're saying and pull back where it's appropriate to pull back.
More people now have permission to be, quote, anti-DEI. And I think that for those organizations, they probably were already only doing it because they felt it was the socially acceptable thing to do. So they really weren't doing it because they saw this as a critical aspect of their business success.
U.S. companies spend an average of $8 billion a year on DEI. Training can be costly, ranging from a couple $1,000s to well over $1 million, depending on company size.
The DEI departments at large have cost quite a bit of money and have borne very little fruit.
The budgets are definitely being cut. We do find that in this era where there's so much backlash, we do find that organizations' budgets, have been cut.
Although business leaders are supporters of DEI initiatives, shareholders and board members are far less likely to prioritize it.
Well, let me tell you, one of the reasons why Trump became president is kind of the backlash to mandating DEI, and just the term became like a curse phrase, because we know when certain people mean DEI, they mean the exclusion of white men, right? And when you got a whole bunch of white men thinking that, hey, listen, I can't get this job because of an initiative that's being promoted by women, Black women, and things of that nature. I mean, you can't blame them, but the backlash went across color lines, right? It became wokeism, right? It became this whole colloquialism that, we need to kind of diversify the workforce, the police force, the firefighting force, the sanitation, for everything that we do has to have, an equal opportunity for women or men, and for that matter, like in women's prisons, when it doesn't even make sense. I mean, I can go through a whole lot of litany of the things on my mind that, diversifying the workforce is stupid, like putting women in men's prisons as guards. That's the stupidest shit I've ever heard in my goddamn life. You got men, the most virile fucking men, in the prison, locked up with each other, and you're going to put some trim in there, a lot. And first of all, most of the women who want to become prison guards, correctional officers in male prisons, they gotta have at least one screw loose somewhere. Yeah, if that's the kind of job you want. And so they're subject to seduction. And I can say that because you could look at the roster of all these prisoners. Some of them got, a whole bunch of free women out there sending them letters every goddamn day. So, it's just a crazy thing. In the male prison, it's the opposite. It's a little insidious. You put men in female prisons, they're going to go ahead and extort sex from those women. They're going to do it. And it's just because both things are bad, but both things are born out of the nature of men and women. You put us in proximity, there's going to be some stroking going on. It's just, you can't avoid it. And threat of losing your job or jail time is not going to stop you.
Board has a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders. These boards are understanding that when we reach out to their company, that there is proof already in the marketplace that we move the markets. And I don't want to destroy any businesses. I want to help restore the heart and soul of corporate America, which is the idea that the consumer is king.
One study found that while only 20%.
So BMU, if you want to, after this is on, you could, just voice lines. Give me a little intro to that, and we'll play that. I don't know how long it is. Tell me how long it is. But let's show it. I don't mind playing it. That's for sure.
Of U.S. companies plan to cut or eliminate DEI initiatives in 2024, the landscape is complex. Many organizations continue to view it as essential for business success.
There are many, many organizations who are still doing diversity, equity, and inclusion, and who have come out and said, this is not optional for us because we know that it is a business imperative. This work goes in waves, right? And so there's the time when things are kind of quiet and you can just work the system and get things through. Nobody's really talking about it to the extent that we are now.
DEI pullback is a bit overstated, as organizations are largely doubling down on commitment, but risks are apparent, particularly to organizations who take public stances on social issues.
I think there's no question that the future is going to be won by companies that choose neutrality on divisive political and social issues. There's no reason that we need to know the social position of a diaper company.
Our values of liberty and justice for all, our values of equality, should take us there because we want to create a world that works for all. The better off I am, the better off other people are.
Well, she is kind of correct, but by mandating that, then you have it has its own set of problems. All right, so BMU has a video. I guess this is you want to at least mic on, or you just gonna let me try to introduce it? This is from Sharon and crew, I believe, who said that there's no such thing as lowering standards for DEI. Okay, yes, I'll hold on. So I guess that's what we're talking about, though, right? So anyhow, so listen, first of all, that's not true. It's never been true. And of course, it's not one size fits all. I mean, if you're talking about a person who's a great administrator, maybe you don't have to, change policy for that person if it's a woman to be in charge of from an administrative standpoint. There's a lot of smart women out there. But when you're talking about being a firefighter, being a Marine, or like a GI Jane trying to get into special forces, you damn right they changed some qualifications to get in, right? And they shouldn't do that just to add women to the force. And one of the things about, depending on like an infantry, one of the reasons why they don't want women on the front line is because men are going to naturally want to protect a woman differently than a fellow soldier. They're going to have to be trained to treat her just like a man out in the field. And that shit is not easy to do. I mean, we might be able to say it, but it's not easy to do. I think it would be distracting. And besides, we don't need women on the front lines. At best, as close as they should be, is snipers. As far as I'm concerned. But they damn sure should be signed up for selective service. because you know that was one of my biggest pet peeves with Kamala Harris or any woman who wants to be president. You can be president, but God damn it, you need to sign up for selective service. All right, go ahead, BM. You got something to say? Go ahead. I see. Oh, I don't hear you. You're saying something, I can't hear you. Anyway, listen, the anticipation is getting me, and we're gonna have this thing from Sharon's channel. I don't, you know what? I don't hawk these guys' channel, man. I don't need the adjective, but it'll be interesting to see what they say, see how we can answer that, because I think that's kind of good stuff to you know, too. So while you're doing that, BMU, while I'm holding on, I want to let me just play something real quick for everybody, so we could just move along. You could. I got another 30-second, 40-second clip myself that I want to play, and I just want to re-emphasize that now that Trump is in office and he's the man and he's doing his thing, I want you guys to see what he said from the podium.
And so the problem
Here it is. Go ahead.
And so the problem with your whole ideology, why is wrong, is because the DEI situation is just to get people that has qualifications in front of the right people so they can get an interview and so they can go ahead and show why they are the better option than every other applicant. That's all it's for. Nobody got a job with DEI that was not qualified for the job. That's a lie.
Because when we ask y'all to name one person, y'all never can't name nobody.
it is a lie. It is a lie. And the fact that somebody can't name somebody, just like I can't name somebody who said they got a job because of DEI, because nobody likes to admit that shit. You know, it's just a dumb rationale. But let me give you a scenario. And maybe this doesn't fit, but I think it does, because there's more than just the qualifications to do the job. It's a lot of factors that go with it. Let's look at the Los Angeles firefighter, firemen, the fire department. There's 3,500 firemen in the fire department. 120 of them were women. 120. So that was more, you know, that he was 3,400 and 900, you know, 30, you know, whatever, 30, you know, mostly men, right? Overwhelming 95%, 96%, with 4% were women. So the chief is a lesbian white woman, okay? And her deputy is another lesbian white woman. And the third in command is a black lesbian, okay? So out of 3,500 people, out of 4%, the top 3 jobs belong to women. So that says, to me, that's a statistically improbable fact that they were more qualified than all of those goddamn men. Just that alone. I don't care what her credentials were, you know. And then the next one, you know, one of the D-daggers, the second in command, said, well, if a man, you know, is caught in a fire, then it's his fault. He should drag his own ass out. You know what I'm saying? And then I don't know what the black lesbian woman said, but it's statistically improbable that those 3 women are the best people for those jobs. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So there's no way that when they put the chief's resume up against, let's say, maybe 200 men who were qualified for that job, that she was the best. I find that hard to believe. I find that was just the criteria, was that she was so much better than all of these men that they should get rid of all of those guys that dog shit stupid. I mean, just, or she's a genius, or she's something special, and she's like 3'8". You know, I mean, it's just improbable. Now, when he says that she might have met the minimum qualifications, you know, I'll give him that. Maybe she did. But that doesn't say she was the best qualified for the job. Not at all. Right. So there's other factors to it. And, I got my own chauvinistic factors on why I don't believe a woman should be a leader of men. Not at all, not in that capacity, not firemen, not policemen, and not the commander in chief of the United States Army. Right? I think that because there's no way she could relate to her force. She can't. And that's a part of being a great leader. It's not just your position. It's not just your administrative skills. You got to be able to look in a man's eyes from a man's point of view and know that this guy's life is not just when he's on a job. Women can't relate to that shit. Just like a man shouldn't be, in charge of, Madame Boutique or some shit like that. Whatever female thing, it should be a man in charge of that. So women routinely want to impose on men's spaces all the time. No matter what we do, women want to be fucking in the middle of it. And you know what? I know why. Because people want to be around people who they look, try to find out, not just being nosy. There's a reason why in sports, women fought to get into male locker rooms when they got their dicks out and all that shit, dressing, and men still can't go into female locker rooms. Why is that? One, most men don't clamor to go in females' locker room to question them while they're hot from a goddamn basketball game. No, men don't want to see women that way. But women want to go into male locker room when their dicks are out, they're sweating. We want to get the true feeling of what happened in the game. And they let that shit happen. And men are starting to push back on that, by the way. But they can't say it out loud because they're going to get called names. But now, I think, now that the wokeism is gone, they're starting to say, we want some space. I want to be able to put my clothes on. I want a chick looking at my schlong while she's asking me questions. You can put a towel on and all that. And it's the locker room. Get the hell out. So anyway, but I mean, these are like examples. These are examples. What in this? Okay, what in this to say? Hexeth was a military man. Oh, by the way, and he, you know what? When and I was going to say this too, as part of getting back on the DEI thing. News came out that Donald Trump wanted to erase the memory of the Tuskegee Airmen because of DEI, blah, 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 some horse shit like that. And I got a video on that because the truth of the matter is what he did was that the Tuskegee Airmen, when they talked about the WAC and females in the military and the Air Force and all that kind of stuff was all part of the DEI program. There was a curriculum in the DEI program that showed and talked about the Tuskegee Airmen and other special forces were made up of women and stuff like that. So when they got rid of the program, those modules went with the program. So Pete Hegseth came on recently and said, there's no way we're going to de-honor or dishonor the Tuskegee Airmen. He said he'll fix it. He'll make sure that even though they can't do DEI, the memory of all those men and all those women will not be lost. So there's that. Okay, so that was one of those red herrings that the media and all the liberal people were trying to find ways to use propaganda to destroy Trump. It's still haven't learned a lesson. We should red wave. I hope the red wave just wipes these guys out, in the next 2 years and the next 4 years. But so I want to show that video that kind of explains what I just explained. It's a short one, but I want to just go through it. Now, getting back to the Sharon thing before we move on, his position doesn't surprise me. Because I know a fireman will tell you that even on getting on the fireman's force, that they changed some of the rules for women to be able to qualify. And because and they can consider it not lowering the standards because they did a little trick. They said, well, the standards for being a fireman were already too high. They were overkill. So if we take away the overkill, then more women probably could qualify. And so they play little tricks like that, you know. So it's and maybe you don't, you know, how often are you going to be asked to carry a 300-pound man? But as fat as fucking Americans are now, it's a lot more often now than it probably was 25, 30 years ago. Right? We got everybody's fat as hell. Not everybody, but a lot of us are. So, you know, you'll be more, you know, so, and then the other part of DEI, which makes no sense, and this was for the second in command out at Los Angeles. She said if a fire happens, people are going to want to see people who looks like them to come save them. Has anything more stupid been said? I just want some big ass hillbilly axe wielding motherfucker with a hose to come put out my fire. I don't care if he's black. I don't care. I mean, who cares about that? So when you put these idiots in charge, this is what you get. You know, this is what you get. I'm coming. I'll put that link in right now. Hold on. Bear with me. Here's the link. There it is. Where's the goddamn link? Let me do this again. Oh, man. Hold on for a second. Bear with me. For some reason, my paste is not working. There you go. The link is dropped. You see it? I put it out again, too. So, yeah, if you want to come up, camera's on. Anyway, I just have a whole bunch of problems. Anybody who has any conversation on DEI, come up, because it's not just me. It's going away of the past. And one of the things I think that we as Black people, one of the biggest problems I think we have is if we can't shake that victim mentality mindset that the color of our skin defines everything that we are, we're going to just continue to miss out. We're going to continue to miss out. I mean, because a lot of us got to where we are based on merit. That doesn't mean you didn't get help from time to time or you didn't have a mentor. We got to start training our kids that, well, you know, such as it is with whatever families we have left. You know, we have to start training them properly. That they're going to have to compete for the future. How you doing, my man? What's going on? Let me fix this. What's not that one? Hey, what's going on, TJ?
Hey,
no see, man.
Yep, you can hear me pretty good.
Yes, I can.
Okay, I got a question for you, Upend.
Yes, you do. Yes, you
this
do.
subject is like it just turns my ears hot every time I hear this subject talked about.
Okay.
Do you think it's a good thing that on a federal level, Trump issued an executive order getting rid of the DEI programs?
I think that it's an evolutionary thing. I think it is. I think it eventually will be good because I believe that Black people won't be hindered from the standpoint that it's going to destroy us. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Why?
I don't, because we're still here. We've been through the worst shit that these fucking guys could put us through, and we're still standing.
And why?
You know, what you mean, why?
Why?
Because we have intestinal fortitude that we've lost because people have been coddled by the liberals too long. I mean, wait a minute, before you go any further, I want to say this because you hit my thing because you know this. We went through slavery, through Jim Crow, through Ku Klux Klan, through redlining, through segregation, through all that. We're still here. And so we had 80% families, we had houses, we had all that shit back then. How did we do that under all that oppression? So just because we don't have some stupid ass program, we're gonna fail? Go ahead. Now straighten me out.
okay, you were alive in this world, Mr. Payne, before these quote unquote DEI programs, right?
I was born when Jim Crow was still enacted.
When Jim Crow was active, so you know what the struggles of the economic and systematic struggles that we went through that led to, first of all, DEI isn't a law. It's an actual institution. DEI is born out of affirmative action.
I know that.
So right, but a lot of people, we use it like DEI. We use DEI as if it was like some law that was enacted. It's not. It's just a policy that a lot of these organizations from a private and public standpoint decided to implement, born out of affirmative action. So a lot of people don't understand that that DEI is a self-governed policy, whereas affirmative action was an actual law. It doesn't exist anymore because, thanks to Clarence Thomas, it got struck down. But the DEI, or I should say struck down, it got severely weakened and rolled back. That's
recent. That's pretty recent, right?
That's pretty recent. Here's where my ears burn at.
Okay.
Is because I'm going to talk about specifically affirmative action, but I'm relating it to DEI. But I'm going to talk about affirmative action. My ears burn because we talk about affirmative action / DEI. I'm going to kind of use them interchangeably, even though they're not. We talk about them as if
let's do it. Just go.
As if affirmative action was a quota system. And it wasn't. Affirmative action actually inside of the law forbids quota systems. But like most Americans, we're too stupid to go read for ourselves. So we listen to the propaganda. Affirmative action only instructed that companies develop policies that gave a path, and it says it, to qualified disenfranchised. It does not say hire someone who's not qualified to meet a quota when it actually speaks against it. The interpretation of affirmative action and DEI was left up to the institutions, public and private, to interpret that. And what they started doing on their own, they started instituting a quota system on their own, even though affirmative action never specifically tells them to do it. And in fact, it tells them not to do it. To make it merit based. And so people are angry about what affirmative action evolved into. It's because it was easy to pick apart when you got public. When I say public, I mean in the local, state, federal government, and private entities started doing quota shit to try to satisfy some kind of public image. You understand what I'm saying?
Wait, hold on for a second. I do understand what you're saying, but let's try to take what you're saying at face value, because I believe you're exactly right. So when you give those kind of that mandate to organizations and you allow them to shift the goalposts, right? Because some of these organizations, you might not have said they didn't have quotas, but when you get into those meetings and they started talking about numbers, it's damn sure sounded like quotas.
No.
Oh, so I'm just saying. I've been in. I don't know.
I'm not saying. I'm saying.
Hold on, let me finish. I understand what you're saying, and you're right. But if the public organizations and the private organizations bastardize the meaning of affirmative action, and nobody reeled them back in to put it to the true meaning, then we got what we got. That was the only way they were able to make white women underprivileged class. Yeah. So how did they do that?
I agree with you on that statement, because we're so busy living our lives and trying to make it. And then when we hear fucking when you hear propaganda like DEI, and it's propaganda in marketing, and then it's extremism in practice.
Okay,
that's why that's how you get. And the thing that the federal government failed to do was to put guardrails or instructions in on how these public and private companies.
Did they do that on purpose or by accident? Did they do that on purpose?
They did it on purpose. There ain't nothing done with us on accident. They did it on purpose because they knew over time somebody. Right now, our pain. The extremes of both parties are running policy. The extremes of both sides are running policy right now. The Democratic Party has allowed these tree-hugging yahoos to hijack its core principle. The Democratic Party was the party of the working class.
Yes,
the Republican Party has not changed their identity to this day. They were the party of business. They've been the party of business ever since post-Reconstruction. They always been the party of business. They're still the party of business now. They're just smart enough to capitalize on the Democrats going too far extreme because they think it's okay to fire a guy for calling a guy instead of calling a guy a girl who wants to be called a girl. So the Democrats
exactly. I mean, but it's a pit. Well, isn't that the sins of a two-party system?
Yes.
I mean, so what I'm trying to tell you is we are where we are now. And if we just talk about DEI, the way it's being implemented, but see, I think there's a couple of things that I didn't say, and you might have missed this. There's two ways that I think DEI is being implemented: by mandate, whatever that mandate is, and organically. There are still going to be companies who understand that a diverse sales force and workforce is better for their business model. And they could tie that to their bottom line. But there's a lot of these programs in certain organizations, they can't tie it to the bottom line. So if I'm the CEO or the board members or whoever's in charge, if my performance bonus and bonuses is based on how everything goes to the bottom line, and I got this fucking program out there, and I put a whole bunch of white men and whoever's in this program, and they get ragged over the fucking coals of how bad they are for being white. That shit ain't going to my bottom line.
Yep.
It's not. So I'm just saying this is how this shit's being implemented.
I want to leave you with one final thing because I'm actually cooking over here. I just want to jump up.
Well, you got to tell us what you're cooking too.
But listen to this and just hear me out for a second.
Sure, I'll do it. Go ahead.
And this is like a warning.
Okay.
Be careful because here's the thing, our pain. We got 2 generations right now alive in this country who have not lived pre-affirmative action.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying to people, be careful what you are celebrating. Let me break that down for you for just a little bit. I work in the healthcare industry.
Mm-hmm.
I do critical care. So I'm not no CNA or shit wiper. I'm actually a clinician. In the last 50 years, 50 years ago, the majority of healthcare clinicians were male. The majority of the administration in healthcare was male.
Okay.
You implement affirmative action where 50 years later, the majority of administration in healthcare is female. The majority of the leadership in healthcare is female. What do we have a huge problem with in this country? Healthcare.
Okay. I bet.
Now let me give. Here's the last piece.
All right.
The last 7 to 8 years, because I've been in there. The candidate that is coming into being a clinician, I'm talking about nurses, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, doctors. The last 8 to 10 years, the demographic that has swung into that field are young white males.
Okay.
I'm not talking about what I think, I'm talking about what I know.
All right.
So women, the white women specifically, have been, because of affirmative action in quote unquote DEI programs, have been allowed to ascend into their field, into this sector of field. This includes education as well. So if I'm seeing that our pain 6-7 years ago, you'll be hard pressed to find a healthcare worker that was a male. You'd be hard pressed. Right now, it's about 35% of the healthcare workers are male, when just a few years ago it was in the teens.
Okay.
What the hell do you think these young white boys are going to do without a DEI program when they want to move into management?
Well, listen. Well, hold on. Those are the same. Well, wait a minute now. I don't know what they're going to do. I know.
Yeah, you do. Yeah,
no,
you do.
no, I don't. No, I don't. And the reason why I'm saying this is because those same white males, for the most part, have been socialized a whole lot more broadly than the white males when I was around.
Yep.
I mean, that's true. I'm not
older
saying
the older these young men get,
because
I'm around them. The older they get, the
Right.
more they start to take on the ideology of their fathers and grandfathers. And our pain. Let me tell you something.
Well, let me ask you a question before you
hold
go
on. Let me get this out. Let me tell you something. Black men, we ain't got nothing to worry about. It's the white women in charge that's about to find out what we already know.
Yeah. So, do we really care about the white women in charge?
No, I don't. But see, that's who elected Donald Trump.
Okay. Before we get to the white women in charge of elected Donalds, because they did, and a lot of them did. Wait a minute. Well, what's the reason why black men are not applying for those entry jobs like the white men are?
Well, they're not entry level jobs. These are $100,000 positions.
Okay, so why is the shortfall for black men?
I said the majority of the men are coming in there are white. There's some black men, but black men itself, we're slow into the technology, the healthcare fields. We're slow moving into it.
How about black women going into that?
Oh, they're there, but they're not going to climb any further than being frontline workers. I'm already seeing it.
All right. I mean, listen, all I'm just trying to say is that this is all under the DEI policies, right? That before this is recent. DEI is going away. And right now, it hasn't gone away from all hospitals and all that kind of stuff. Right now, it's starting with the federal workforce by his mandates. And so all I'm just trying to say is, even under affirmative action and DEI, the demographics are still shaping up to be unbalanced.
Our pain. Here's the thing about this kind of conversation. You and I, if I'm seeing a shift, I'm not knocking it one way or the other. In 5 years,
I'm not denying
in 5 years, within the term of Donald Trump's presidency,
okay,
one of us is going to be proven right.
Right. Okay. And so, you know what? Here's my thing, right? I think that it's time for us to take off, and a lot of black people don't want to hear this. I think we just have to compete. Some of us are going to pass and some of us are going to fail. That's just fucking life. The DEI program, listen, if I asked you, and let me ask you, did you get your job because of DEI?
I have no idea.
Oh, you have no idea. That's what I'm saying. But if I asked you that, you would figure that you got most of the things you got based because you earned it.
Yeah.
Look, all right, then. So what I'm saying is,
not only did I earn it to the tune, but better than the average white man and white woman. But I will never know for sure unless somebody explicitly stated that's why I was hard. But they're not going to do that. But they're not going to do
that. Question.
Yeah.
Does your personality carry with you besides being on the air?
Our pain. One of the wonderful things about me, I am who I am in all phases of my life.
Okay, so you got your job based on merit. It wasn't based on any fucking thing else. You wouldn't have that job. somebody look and say, okay, man, this guy is worthy enough to have this job. They ain't doing you no favors.
No, they do me no favors. But
That's what I'm saying.
Our pain. Let me explain something to you. Black men and even black women, as fractured as we are, if this process reverts back, we don't know because we haven't lived in the system without it yet.
Let's see
when it reverts back, we're going to be okay, our pain, because we are accustomed to figuring out how to make it in difficult situations. We're going to be fine. We're going to take a hit, but we will rebound because that's what we do. But we're here. We're here 400 years later. That's what we do. So I'm not overly worried about it. We're going to take the hit. What I'm going to sit back and laugh. Our pain. Let me tell you something. I came up because I'm going to sit back and laugh because I'm going to laugh at these white women who are about to figure out for the first time what their men are made of that black people already know about their men. This shit's going to be hilarious to me.
Yeah, white men ain't going to share that. If they get to the power, it's going right back to the way it was before.
There you go. And that's what I'm expecting. All right, our pain. That's it. I got to go.
Thanks for coming up, man. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate it. All right. Well, that was good, man. A healthy conversation. Listen, anybody else who wants to come up and, like I said, I understand that there may be some struggles based on it, but I do want to play what Trump says, and you got to tell me in the chat how you feel about what he said. I mean, and why do we take it to such heart that somehow we're going to lose because something is being taken away that we really never had? That's what I feel. Wait a minute. So, well, not what I feel. That's what I know. Okay. So let me get away from the feel word. Just go ahead and play this. It's really
My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense. And these are policies that were absolute nonsense throughout the government and the private sector. With the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country. You have to hear that word, merit-based country. And I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only two genders, male and female. And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely. Finally, as we restore common sense in America, we're moving quickly to bring back strength and peace and stability abroad.
All right, so we heard that, and maybe you guys could tell me what you really think about that. Listen, I just think that he's on par. Let me see. This one ain't basically nothing. For most black men, and a lot for potential family. Okay, when you say this means basically nothing, when you say this means DEI or the lack of it. So what does Anissa have to say? What am I tired of? Yeah, okay. Oh, maybe you're talking to somebody else. I don't know. Anyway, listen, all I'm just trying to say is I think we are on this path. We got 4 years. A matter of fact, there's 2 years because the Republicans have a slim hold on the House and the Senate. And a lot of people think the blue wave is going to come back and take over us. I disagree. I think it's going to be a bigger stronghold in 2 years because I don't think the Democrats have learned anything. They're still talking the same stupid shit that they talked that lost them the election. They're being over and hyperly sensitive with Trump deranged syndrome. And I think Trump did more in the first week of his administration than Biden and Harris did in 4 years, besides just destroy everything that we hold dear in this country. So we'll see. We will see. I agree with you. Nana she, anyway, so I agree. I really do. It's an opportunity. These times are opportunities. But you know what? People have to see them that way. But I think it's hard when people think something's being taken away from them to really fall in line with that because they said, well, we used to have DEI, it's gone, even though we haven't benefited from DEI for a long time. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, have we benefited from it? I don't think so. It's a couple of things. One of the things I would hold Trump to task for, and this is really serious. I think people don't pay enough attention to this. If he's thinking about trying to have a colorblind society and everything's based on merit, then every single form in the federal government has to remove that question that asks you what your ethnicity is, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether all that shit has to go. If it doesn't matter what color you are, then why should anybody have to answer that question? That's what I would hold his feet to the fire for. I would like to have an answer on that. And if he tells me we want to just take the census of the demographics of who we hiring, then you're saying it matters. Then you're saying it matters. So I would hold, this is the kind of shit that I would hold him to the fire for. That's the truth. So I would like to see that question go away completely. So if anybody, let me do this for everybody too, just in case you haven't seen it, right? I want to do this just for the hell of it because I can and I'm here. I think it's worth doing. Where is it? Boom, 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 boom. There it is. All right, so this is the executive order ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and preferencing. Right, that's it right there. And it's really straightforward. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. Right. So the first one is just simple, right? And I would like to see if anybody really disagrees with this. I guess we do. We're going to always have it. Right. Section 1, purpose and policy. The Biden administration forced illegal and immoral discrimination programs going by the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion, into virtually all aspects of the federal government in areas ranging from airline safety to the military. And I kind of stopped there because I wanted to stop on equity. I think one of the problems that we have with equity is because people expect equality of outcomes, and you can't guarantee that for anybody. Right. And so I think that's where the problem is. And, Biden himself stigmatized Kamala Harris by saying he was going to, choose a woman of color as his vice presidency. That's DEI, right? He says, in a pool of all others, I'm going to exclude white women. I'm going to exclude men. I'm going to exclude everybody. I'm looking for a woman with some tint to her skin, and I'm going to make her vice president. So that's the dangerous shit that's going on, right? So there was a concerted effort stemming from President Biden's first day in office when he issued Executive Order 13985, advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. And one of the biggest grifts is they somehow fit white women in the group of underserved. How the hell can that be? How can that be? Well, so I won't go any further, but again, hey man, what's going on, brother? How you doing, man? Yeah. What you got? I don't know how much you saw, man. What you got on so far? What you see? What I got to go back over?
No, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to you cook, man, with that Catholic school education, man. Salute, man. That's all.
Just hang on. I just want to go through a couple more lines of this directive. Okay, right. So this is what Biden said. Pursuant to Order 13985, and the follow-on orders, nearly every federal agency and entity submitted an equity action plan to detail the ways that they have furthered DEI's infiltration of the federal government. The public release of these plans demonstrated immense public waste and shameful discrimination. That ends today, and that was as of January 2025. Americans deserve a government committed to serving every person with equal dignity and respect, and to expending precious taxpayer resources only on making America great. And that's it. And so, I mean, that's only 2 lines, but you can go find this directive and all other directives online, and I suggest everybody read them. I think, if we want to even complain or say we have disdain for Trump, you should at least read the orders. That's what I think. So what do you think, Trey? But what do you think about this DEI situation? Tell me.
Well, before I answer, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Being in America all your life, gone through the certifications and the education that you obtained throughout your career, do you believe that everybody that attends college and graduates college in whatever field it is, say the general studies to the top engineering, do you think that all of those students, when they graduate, deserve a position in the workforce?
I don't think anybody deserves anything.
No, what I'm saying is, hold up, wait a minute. I'm saying it based off their accomplishments, their goals that they've achieved.
I think if you accomplish a degree, let's put it that way.
Yeah, the degree. That's what I said. If you graduate with a degree.
Okay, let me answer this question. Just like everybody else, you might have a hierarchy of jobs that you want. You don't deserve the job you want. You might want. You have to take the job that you can get.
No, what I'm saying is, in the field I paint. I'm not saying I graduate from college.
In the field.
Okay. Yeah.
Even in the field, when I graduated with my engineering degree, there were some jobs that I wanted that I
didn't qualify for. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Whether I didn't qualify or not, but I got a different engineering job in a lesser place, quote unquote. But I took it.
Right. So your question is yes. If you go to college, you like a lot of people's mindset believe in thinking.
I don't like the word deserve. That's all. That's only that.
Okay. So take out the word deserve, but you should be offered the opportunity based off the fact. And I'm not focusing on your college, my college. And what I'm saying is anybody that's gone to a university or career service certification through America, the American regiment, right? They are born citizens, black, white, whatever. Do they deserve an opportunity for a position at whatever company that they apply for?
Well, I think that the short answer is yes, but the word deserved is a wrong word.
What I'm saying is in America.
Hold on. Let me. I got where you're coming from. What I'm saying to you is that any job in any profession that you have, even if you're qualified, is actually still subject to whether there's a lot of those jobs available.
No, I understand that, Arpain. What I'm trying to say is, let's just say I start off at the low tier. I apply for the lowest job based off my experience coming out of college. And that position is open, right? I've graduated college. Should I be given an opportunity to work that position?
As long as if you beat out the other candidates.
Okay. So as long as the job's available, I can beat out the other candidate based off what we expect it to be, right? Okay. So now here's the thing, what I got, and this is where, I remember being introduced to affirmative action as a young teen. So you were older as a young teen.
Your head's kind of out of the frame. I just want to let you know that. Maybe that's all.
Oh, my bad. So
I
was looking at my dog. I was looking at my doggy. No. So as a young teen, I was introduced to it, right? And a lot of my peers, we were just regular teenage kids. A lot of us started working. A lot of us just whatever we were introduced to, whatever that little job was, we tried to just do it to the best of our limited ability of what we understood.
Okay.
And then coming out of high school, it was a push for me and everyone around the country really to go to college. A lot of people went to college. College enrollment increased 300%, whether
Okay.
it was HBCU, whether it was a regular university 2 hours away. All of those things increased. The military numbers increased. Brothers was going to the service and trying to get out here based off what America was saying, do go opportunity. So we was taking the opportunity. And then I've seen where a lot of my peers, you know, who didn't go to college, they were able to get a job working in the factories, making $25 an hour, $30, you know, just whatever it was in those towns. And over the years in the political world, because then affirmative action was in full stride because a lot of people were graduating college, male, female. A lot of people was getting master's degrees. Some people was getting PhDs, and those were opportunities given, and that affirmative action allowed me and you and 4 others like you and me to be in the position to get the job. One of us may get it. One, you know, the rest of us don't get. But it gave us a sort of a start getting the level playing field because a lot of people were able to get jobs when they were coming out of college. And then over the course of the last 30 years, you know, I started out, went to college, I joined the military, I went back to college, and I understood the importance of finishing my degree at that time.
So let me ask you a question though. On this stuff you're saying, are you saying the only reason you got all this was based on your merit?
No. Only I put myself in the position to get it. The positions based off what America said do in America. I'm in America, just like you. Either go to college, trade school, military. So
let me ask you a question based on that, right? So say there wasn't no affirmative action, right? In your day and my day, and now they call it DEI, which is like the next step. You don't think if you did the same thing, you wouldn't have been able to do what you've done?
I don't see it based off the way it was. It was set up in already before that. That was some of what the silent generation, I guess, in the height when they was trying to, you know, based off the way it played out, what they were trying to get in those positions, because brothers were even before me. They were, you know, like my father. He was born in 43, and he sort of took it. He was drafted, but he couldn't go to war. So, but he was put in a position to go and, you know, just be a part of that. But he went to college for like a year and a half or so. But he ended up working. He got a good job out of when he got back with that, and then it worked out for him. My mother started out high school graduate
before affirmative action.
No, wait a minute. Well, because the position that
I'm asking you, did he get that job before affirmative action passed?
Some I believe I have because based off
your father got that job before affirmative action, right?
Some, yes, he some, but his skill in his opportunity, because even to this day, young men and young women who go to the military, they get a first deal. Like they get put in front of the line if they qualify.
But the point is that because he was older, right? So when he came back, he was still in his 20s, right? Had a little bit of service, a little bit of this and that.
Yes.
So we're talking about the 60s or something, 64, 65, 66, whatever.
Yes.
He was able to find a job. I think that was before affirmative action passed, right?
Yeah, yes. And I came into it, my older sister.
Talk about you. He had certain skills. He had a certain drive. I don't know if he has started a family yet. You know, maybe maybe your older sisters or whatever. So the point really is, out of his necessity and his need, he found a job that could sustain him and a family.
Yes, and him and my mother worked together. You know what I'm saying? And
all right. So now we come up to you, right?
Yeah, come up to me in the height of the affirmative action. Yes.
Okay. So the question really is succinct. Do you think, with all your credentials and your mindset, that you actually needed affirmative action to do what you've done? Because you didn't really need affirmative action to join the military.
No. not to do what I did, as faced off my own, like you said, my own internal drive, my own desire to be better, than my condition and my situation. I look at it like we all were in the same situation. Is just, but given that drive and determination, that came from my parents, that came from my peers around me, that came from me understanding the situation that I was in at that moment. And then when I was 18 graduating, America was saying, go be an opportunity and get out. That's why I said we was going to college. We just didn't sit around and say it's somebody's fault. Cause I was born in 68. You know what I'm saying? I used to hear the stories from my family because my mother had 6 sisters and all of them were married. All of them married big, strong kids. All of her sisters. And nobody sat around talking about gloom as me. They were saying work hard, be respectful, blah, blah, blah. And then when I came into my own little man, I was avoiding crack. I was avoiding gangs, but then the opportunity when I got out of college, I got out of military, I went back to college to get a degree. I believe if I would have just got straight out of the military and without going back to college, I don't think I would have been afforded to work in the fields that I worked in. I would have had to do more of a construction, labor intensive type of position.
All right. But
it gave me opportunity.
All right. So let me just ask you this. Okay. Now that he put this directive out there against DEI, why do you think there's more Black people chirping about it than anybody else?
You said something unique about it, because now it takes away the diversity of. Now they don't have to look outside of what they look like, because that white woman is now a part of that statement. See, they identified her.
Well, hold on, but up till now, right? I'm not so sure. If you ask the average Black person, Black man in particular, that wherever he's working, how did he get his job, and does he think he got it based on DEI? Most of them will say no.
No, because a lot of us don't know policy.
Forget about the policy, right? I'm saying most people believe they got where they got because of the merit they put in.
Right? Yeah, you have to put in the work.
Hold on. White women have hijacked affirmative action, DEI, and everything else for the last couple of decades. I don't know how many Black people, only Black people who got any benefits in any of these programs is Black women. Black men, we haven't gotten shit out of any of these programs. And
no, we ain't getting nothing. We ain't getting nothing. That's the DEI that we up against. So we ain't getting it.
So what I'm trying to say is, what I think people are saying what's being unsaid, that left up to their own devices, that white people are going to revert back to only hiring white people. That's what people are saying. That's what people have to be afraid of. That's what the fear is. That, I don't know, TJ was just up here. The fear is that white people are going to automatically, since they don't have no commercial regs, no government regs, they're going to just revert back to the way they were before, which could be true. But go ahead.
What TJ was saying when I was listening in, he's spot on to a sense too. But I just add this piece based off what I understand where TJ was coming, because I agree with what he was saying, right? But I don't think it's just going to revert to them, because America is going to be more diverse than any other country around the world, because you got diverse. What I'm saying is the populations are going to shift those opportunities, because we got to understand there's people in other countries that have the skills in this technological advancement that they don't have to go to college for. They come over here. Why do you think those other countries are able to hack into our system? Because they know that our system is still elementary.
Where you going with that? How are those people?
So what I'm saying is this DEI, do away with, that's fine. It's going to bring more other cultures into America to resident, and the young Black man, the young Black woman who has decided not to take advantage of the advancement of, because this entrepreneurship is a tricky thing because you have to be diverse in entrepreneurship. And it's going to take this technological advance. I would advise all young men and women coming out of high school to go straight into tech. Learn everything you can about tech. Start building the games and stop playing the games. Go start building the computers. You got an old computer, take it apart and put it back together. It's easy to do now because it's a cheaper way to get the skills. Now in America, they want you to get a certification through one of these institutions. They want you to pay into that. That's the trick bag for any black man and black woman. You're going to have to try to avoid that, or you're going to have to create something brand new from it's an easy fix for men. The women, they're going to have to make a decision whether they're going to work and get the skills, and they're going to have to find a man. If not, it's going to be rough for the sisters.
Hold on. Black women have laid down the gauntlet. The way their path forward is just going to college. Right?
But still, going to college creates $50,000 in debt, I paint, and those jobs are not going to be there like that.
Wait, first, just hold on for a second. This is the path that they're on. And right now, right, you see anything when there's somebody needs defense on one of these liberal F shits that we have, they always have a black woman as the face of it. If it's a rainbow Skittles thing, if it's this thing, it's that thing, or it's a boycott, it's this and that. So they feel that they've already competed and they've already done what they need to do because they got a degree. Some of those degrees suck. They got all this debt. But right now, they ain't listening to nobody that there's a new way. So now if you're telling with DEI going, and for both black men and black women, what you're saying is that if you're on your square and you want to learn high tech, if you're a man and you're on the path as a woman doing this, what they do, that DEI doesn't really matter. You're going to either be prepared for the future or you're not.
And what was Trump saying out his mouth? Based off merit, meaning you're going to have to get out here and put in the work to gain the merit. You're going to have to be able to prove that you have the skills to do it.
So we're in agreement. So you're saying, do you believe, though? Here's the question, though. You got to understand. Do you believe, just based on your merit, that black men and black women, if you got the merit and the credentials, will still be able to thrive without this so-called DEI shit?
The only caveat, this is the only caveat. I'm an older guy. I hope I don't live it to see it or see it to live it. However you want to put it. I think without us coming together as one voice at some point between 20 now and 2050, then it's gonna be rough. Some black people may be moved off their family land. Some people may be moved into certain places because we have to be able to find a way to demand an opportunity. And if the women don't work with us, and it'll hurt the women worse because a man can explore the world. A woman has to be taken around the world. A man, a brother can explore the world. So
let's look at the current circumstances right now. As black men, right, it's fair to say, not all, I'm going to say not all, because I think my daughters are gems. There are black women out there who are marriageable. I believe that. But for the most part, the ones who own the airways and the narratives, they're unmarriageable women, right? They've already decided that Cleveland to black men is not what they want to do. No, there's no going back with a lot of black women. There's just no going back. I don't know how many of that 92% that's on the liberal plantation with the Democrats, but it's a fair amount of them. And all you got to do is do a cursory listen through social media, and you can tell where the women's heads are at. So there's no real this whole thing about how we're going to bring them with us and all that. They're not coming. At some point, we got to pick and cherry pick the women who will come, right? And a lot of men are too lazy to do that. The women, they don't want to do the goddamn work. to find a woman. So, but let's just say, so we got.
I don't think brothers are lazy though.
Yes, they are. Yes, they fucking are, man. Listen
They
to
ain't
me.
lazy, I think. They ain't lazy.
Relationships, they are. Yes, they are.
No, they ain't lazy.
Yes, they are, man. All they want to do is smash and grab.
They programming is off. That's all. They programming is off.
So all I'm just trying to say, however we conquer this non-DEI world, I think we have to do it separately before we come together. That's where I'm going. Black men have to be on their own, trying to do this separately. And on the way, maybe you'll find a woman that's going to want to travel that road with you. But for the most part, if we waste time trying to reel the Black woman in to try to move forward, we're going to be wasting time. You guys, not you either. The young guys will be wasting time. So
I don't think so. I don't think so though.
I mean, you've been around. I mean,
but no. Here's the reason why I don't think so, because here's where, to me, I think it's gonna help us in a sense, right? Because unlike me and you, the men, I'm gonna say here's where it helps the men. What I see, right? Because now you seeing young men who might have realized they played games for 10, 15 years, right? Right? They see it now. They mid 30s. They starting to wake up. They starting to realize that outside of the women, they ain't got time to be playing amongst the world. They starting to get that picture. And it might take, think about our pain. We've been on this road, 60 years so?
Yeah.
It might take 10, 15 years, because I believe a brother 20, because you have young daughters, 20 point. I believe by the time they reach 30, it's going to be some good brothers out there, because the message with YouTube is an equalizer, game changer for most brothers who are wanting to be better. It's a game changer. The women going to have to do something.
Let me grant you that, right? Let's grant. That's why I want to speak in oil. The numbers are low of both men and women who actually want to cleave together and make something happen. That's irrefutable, right? Our marriage rate's at 30%.
Hold up, I paint that's only 20% lower. That ain't bad though. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Let's be consistent here. 30% sucks. Okay.
Yes, it does, I think.
Hold on. It might be enough to rebuild with, but it sucks. Now, both men and women got to wade through 70% of horse shit to find each other.
Only another 20%.
Let's get back to the reason why we're here. We have different challenges, Black men and Black women.
Of course.
We got different challenges. Black men are on the bottom of the rung with no safety net whatsoever. So navigating the future of DEI means that we have to do a certain focus so we'll be prepared for the goddamn opportunities that come up, regardless of who's in charge. We don't have time. We don't have time to get women in line with them if they're not already in line. We're blowing time right now. I mean, these young guys, I don't have to say, I listen to the young goddamn guys talk right now, man. They're not looking for wives. They're saying, shit, man, if I can't find a wife, I'll just smash them out and move on. Right? And so what I'm saying is, this is a different challenge. We're talking two different things. That's a whole nother live about the women. But I'm saying we don't have no time in the next 4 years as men, young men, to worry about anything but being able to compete for those jobs when they appear, because there's no safety net. And you're going to have to your resume is going to be put up against resumes of some people who have a little bit more than yours, or may not. You got to be able, your resume is going to have to stand out. Here's another thing I was going to say. And this is what men might have to do. You got an illegitimate baby out there with some fucking woman you don't like. Don't let her name your kid vagina and fallopian tube and all that shit. That shit, if you put that shit on a resume, your shit is going into the goddamn garbage. You gotta have a real, regular goddamn name. All right? We gotta stop naming our kids all this crazy bullshit. You know, I'm serious. If people don't think this shit matters, you know, you got names with no goddamn vowels in it and all kinds of bullshit, man. You can't name your kid Green-Eyed Monster and or whatever the fuck you're naming them. You know, you can't put that on a resume. You know, we gotta catch up to understand that we're Americans, and if we're gonna try to compete on a higher level, we gotta play the part, right? I mean, we can't sit on this whole thing. I'm blackity black. I could do what I want. I could say what I want. If my name is venereal disease, so what? I spelt it with an A instead of an E. You know,
but I mean, listen, what you just said.
We're scarring the kids.
Yeah, no, but what you're saying is all correct, Arpain. What you're saying is all correct. It's played out over the last almost like since 2008, since Obama took office. It's been wild out here. It's been wild in these streets. Yes, I get that. It's been wild in these streets. We done had dudes 6'5" now. They wearing tutus and all putting on wigs. You know, it's scary. Yes, Arpain, I'm with that. However, I'm telling you, man, this platform called YouTube and like, okay, with the marriage thing, 30% are paying our numbers, you know, okay, since Roe versus Wade, we was down to 50%. 50% has always been a number in America that I could live with. If we can get up 20%, I'll take 50% till I leave this earth. I'm good. That means we got some motion, right?
You and I both have kids, and you got a son. He's 21 years old.
Yes, and I'm telling him, based on what you said, I believe, especially a young brother in America, when they look at their life, where they came from, single mama, not really having a relationship with a father, sisters and aunties, everybody talking about the man and around them. Those brothers need to explore the world. These brothers need to get as far away from their people and come back once every 2 years, but they need to go out and figure the life out. They need to be put in hard situations about work. They need to focus on good health and work and treat their seed like it's $1 million. If a brother can avoid that, I think he'll be all right. But as far as the opportunity, he got to take advantage of it. If he's chasing women through his 20s, I say it now like I used to tell my students. And this is our pain. That's why I say, young brothers need to hear you, our pain, while they still in that space. Man, you would change the world. The message that you have, it ain't for a 35-year-old. It ain't for a 40-year-old. Your message is for an 18-year-old looking for somebody like you to say, man, if you don't get off your lazy butt and get it together, it'll change their life, our pain. I'm telling you.
Only because I say that only because I can only say that with humility, because I look back on my life, man. I was never one of those chosen dudes. You know how you have a bunch of friends, you got the alpha guys, you got these guys. I didn't do any. I was just a regular dude hanging out, dodging the gangs, dodging the graffiti, playing basketball, not doing the dumb shit, dodging the drugs. And my friends weren't the same. Maybe it was because I went to Catholic school while they were going to public school.
Pretty much.
You know, I went from first grade to 12. They were skipping it in and out, man. They was
Catholic school, man, saved you, man. It saved them too.
But maybe that was it, you know, and that's what I gave to my daughters. I said, okay, they paid extra money because I could have went to the public school around the corner just like everybody. But instead, my parents, they sent me from the Bronx to Harlem.
Yes.
I wasn't when I was a kid. It would be called child abuse today.
Your parents instilled in you the greatest thing. They let you know that it's you. If you want something great, you sacrifice for it. They put you first. When you would
out here with pedophiles, there was no pedophile, man. I mean, I had to take 2 buses in the train in New York City, rain, snow, heat. When it snows, the shit was over. I was walking through some of the worst neighborhoods to get home with my stupid fucking uniform on and a Catholic school bag. You know, the fuck out of here. I was a good runner back then. I used to run through the neighborhoods, man. I just kept running. Yeah, yo.
So that's what I'm saying, Arpain. This is what I'm saying. You have that message, but it's to the wrong crowd. I'm gonna keep telling you that. I'm gonna keep telling you that because you saying what a man needs to hear is like, listen, you don't have time to be a victim. You don't have time to, especially right now when you young and in your prime, you got to get out here and earn it. And this is what Trump is saying. All the lazy Americans, your time is up. He gonna put you. And here's the thing. It's my last thing I'm gonna say. Here's the thing. What I really hate about us when it came to Biden. The one thing I like that he did is for everybody who was coming out of high school during COVID, they had 2 free years of education that they could obtain a degree for no money, and got their FAFSA and made about $3,000-4,000 a semester. It was a 2-year certification that he gave away, and not a lot of people took advantage of it.
Okay, well, that's true.
And that's gonna hurt them in 10 years, man.
No,
a brother going on his 30s, he needs to have some type of career set in his life already. If not, he will struggle. He will struggle.
Listen, I agree with you. I agree with you. Hey, listen, let me ask you a question. What do you think about, and just getting back on it, what do you think about Al Sharpton's boycott?
Of what? What is he boycotting?
He's boycotting all the companies that are removing their DEI programs.
Because he already know what it means. Al Sharpton was part of that whole little 60s, all that. He's been paid off of that same rhetoric. He's been paid off the feminist rhetoric. What are you talking about? He knows what it means.
All I'm trying to say is, let me. You said you're feeling me. I'm gonna show. I'm gonna play a little bit of it. All right. Let's just share, and we'll get this thing rolling. Now here's Al Sharpton doing his buying.
Corporations came forward and said, we're going to do diversity. We're going to do this because race needs to be dealt with. And for Donald Trump to be able to cancel a commitment they made is an outright affront to the Black community, brown community, LGBTQ, gay community, and women that they committed to.
Who's they and who committed to doing anything? Here's this big victim, just we got to stay on a victim plantation with this guy as long as he's alive. Right. And let me also tell you that the people that he have with him, he gave each one of them $125 gift card for Costco.
So that is why people stand with us.
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the race hustlers, the black bourgeoisie, the pro-blackity blacks getting upset and boo-hoo-whining and crying about corporations and the federal government rolling back DEI. Okay, they are ending discrimination. Okay, and they're upset. They're mad. Okay, which tells you everything you need to know about these people and what they're actually really fighting for. They're not fighting to end racism. They're actually fighting to keep racism, just racism that benefits them. Now, a lot of these individuals are upset with companies like Target because they are rolling back their DEI program.
Target is one of the companies that actually thought that DEI right. They actually looked at the customer base and found products that were responsive to the customers that were there. And so you have Black-owned companies that have products on the shelves at Target simply because Target made a concerted effort to actually create opportunities to connect consumers with product. It's good business and it's good for the consumer base. And so knowing now that they're rolling that back hurts. All of this is super personal to me. Like I've said several times, I do DEI work. So all of this happening hits right here, just deep in this area. Just really miserable.
Baby, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not surprised that Target canceled that DEI act. Okay, Target has always given, how much money can we make off of y'all? When Miley Cyrus.
Her name is Bonnet Business. So she says, what? I'll put my bonnet on and shit, you know. I said, Jesus Christ.
And, you know, Juicy J and all that, when it was cool to be black and everybody wanted to be, when urban culture was a hot thing, you had everybody want to be black. That's when these stores started to get, you know, more inclusive with the hair owls. You know, y'all remember Pantene had the relaxed section. Everybody had a relaxed section. Okay, so the more popular, especially when Amigos came out and all their grandkids was buying everything black, then they wanted to say, you know, okay, well, we'll include all these black brands. Then Black Owned hit the scene and took off. It was all about a money grab.
This is my official resignation letter as a Target lover. Target, I don't get it. I don't understand. I thought we had a good thing going. We were like this. I was literally going to go to Target today. Walmart, I get. Of course, Walmart. But Target, like you really didn't want my coins. You really didn't want my money. Sometimes I would just go to Target just to walk around because it's Target. Now I can't even do that. This really broke my heart. A lot of things I don't give a fuck about. A lot of things are expected. But this,
yeah, so again, I find this to be absolutely hilarious. And the reason why I find it to be absolutely hilarious is because these individuals are learning the hard way that these corporations never loved you, right? They didn't love you. All that George Floyd BLM stuff, okay? The Target CEO was like, oh, it's near and dear to me. He didn't give a damn. All they saw it as is an opportunity to make money. And when it turned out that DEI was not profitable, that they were losing money off of this stuff, they said, all right, cool. Well, after this election, the American people have shown they're not for this stuff. Therefore, we're going to move on because we can't make money, okay? The only thing these corporations care about in regards to color is green. That's it, right? That's the way it's always been. That's the way it always will be. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be that way.
Well, that's the way it always is. You know, listen, I just tell you, man, I'm going to move forward a little bit here. You know, because I just say that this is more pertinent to what's going on. Now, you know this lady, right, Ferg? This is the sister who has that business. Her name is Brown, whatever. Right? So is she an actor? She has a business in her Tabitha Brown. Her products are in Target, on Amazon, and everywhere. Yeah. And listen to her kind of waffling, because the issue really is that DEI is not going to kick her out of the store because her shit sells. It's money. They make money off of her stuff there, right? It's a profitable.
So with that, how many other sisters
hold
have
on,
opportunity?
No. It's dollars and cents. So let's listen now. We'll have that conversation. Hold on to that thought because we'll talk about the opportunity.
And we still, it's until 2025, and we are still in January. But I know many of you are asking and have asked and sent messages about the recent DEI announcements at Target as well. And as disheartening as it is for me, I'm not the only one affected by this, right? It's for everyone who is a woman-owned business, minority-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses. It's for so many of us who work so very hard to be placed into retail, to finally be seen and approved for retail. Because contrary to whatever the world might tell you, it has been very hard for Black-owned businesses to hit shelves, right? Which is why it's such a big deal when we do finally land inside of retail. So it is definitely heartbreaking to feel unsupported, right? However, I am in business in multiple ways, with Target, with Walmart, and Amazon, right? I sell Donna's Recipe, my hair care products, right, are on Amazon. They're also in Target. And of course, I have a huge partnership with Target. I sell my seasonings at Walmart. I do business all over, just like many other people. And what I can tell you is, if we all decide to boycott and be like, no, we're not spending no money at these organizations. Listen, I get it. And if that's how you feel, honey, I 1000% get it. But so many of us will be affected, and our sales will drop. Our business will be hurt. And if any of you know business, it doesn't just happen overnight where you can just go take all your stuff and pull it off the shelves. There's a process. And then you got to, like, where you going to put it? You got to have a place to store it. That's money, right? You got to have another place to sell it, which is almost impossible sometimes. And even if you sell online, it's a process when it comes to business. And everyone does not have the funds or the means or the availability, the space to house their own products, right? But the thing that concerns me the most, and I want you to hear me and hear me well, if we all decide to stop supporting said businesses and say, you know, I can't buy nothing from there, even the businesses who were affected by the DEI ban, right? What that does is you take all our sales and they dwindle down. And then those companies get to say, oh, your products are not performing. And they can remove them from the shelves. And
yeah, so I want you guys to pay.
Yeah, before he goes on, and he's going to tell you what I can better than what I'm going to say. She made a couple of things. She made a couple of things clear when she says is that one that she didn't say. One, she's on those shelves based on merit. She's on those shelves based on the fact that her products move, and they probably don't just move through with just Black folks. They move. Nobody gives you anything on a DEI level if it ain't selling. The things ain't selling, they're going. So now with this DEI moving, they're not going to give people a break. If you don't meet that line of profit, they're not going to put you on the shelves. But let my man Greg here, conservative brother, go ahead and explain it.
Pay attention to what this woman is saying, right? Because she's saying the quiet part out loud, which is that rolling back DEI is not affecting her product. They're not taking, quote unquote, Black products off the shelves simply because they're removing DEI. That's not how the process works, okay? What she's saying is that, well, guys, I'm really upset that they're rolling back DEI, but you guys have to keep buying my product. Please don't boycott Target. Well, what does that mean? What that means is that as long as people are purchasing her product, the product is going to stay on the shelf, right? That's what it means. As long as Amazon or Target or Walmart, all companies that she claims she does business with, as long as the product is selling, as long as people are buying it, it's going to stay on the shelf. Which is the whole point that people like me have been making about the whole DEI stuff, which is that if you have a good product and people are buying your product, then DEI doesn't affect you. It does not affect those whose products are selling based off merit. But what it does affect is the products that Amazon is putting in their stores that they don't know if the product is actually a good product. They don't know if the product is going to sell. They have no clue whatsoever. They're just putting it on the shelves, or they're giving the opportunity to the so-called Black business because they want to virtue signal wokeness. But yet, these products aren't profitable. If they were profitable, if what Amazon was doing was profitable, then they wouldn't be rolling back DEI. Them rolling back DEI tells you everything you need to know about these so-called Black businesses that they were promoting, that they weren't good businesses, okay? And when they roll back DEI, her business hasn't been taken off the shelf. So it's not like they're taking off all the Black businesses off the shelf like they're pretending. That's not what's happening. They're saying, well, we're going to let the good businesses stay, and the bad businesses, they got to go, right?
Let me stop it right. So you get the point, right? You know, he said enough. I mean, you get the point. I can't. Yeah. Are you? Yeah. So you awake over there, man. You look like you chilling, brother. Anyway,
Man, I
you
mean,
get the point, right?
but our pain. Listen, man. Okay, here's the thing, right? And this is America, and this is American products, whatever.
Right.
Most of that stuff in the stores ain't made for black people hair anyway. I'm gonna focus on the hair products because I
Well,
don't believe in makeup. I don't like it. Most of that stuff is not of us. It's for us, but it's not by us. That's the problem, right? And I've thought about this. One of the issues.
We're talking about Tabitha Brown's products, right?
Yeah, her product. She's a face. She has a name. She has a name almost, like a Steve Harvey
No, but
name. So
are we saying her products are not for black people? Or they
no,
for you?
yes, her products are, but it's one of her pain. It's hundreds of thousands of black
No,
people that have product. It's one of her.
Hold on for a
It's
second.
one of her.
I know that, but we're not saying she's the only black person with with business with Target, are we? She's not.
No. It's but she's one of few that get the opportunity to get a space.
But what I'm saying is
Target and Walmart orders hundreds of thousands of units.
there's only a few businesses, period, that get space in Walmart.
No, Walmart.
No, I'm talking about of a different. They might be dealing with like Costco deals with Kirkland, right? That's a huge supply of a lot of stuff. So if you have specialty businesses, white, black, Hispanic, you're never going to have a lot of people who get shelf time in these major stores. There's always going to be a small amount of people.
Right, I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. That one doesn't account for the other small businesses who are trying to get in those spaces. The spaces in those stores are one of the biggest advantages because you got Walmart from the bottom to the top, East Coast, West Coast. So they ordering millions of units.
But I agree with you. What I'm saying is the other businesses that don't get in there, right? Don't get in there because they're not profitable enough or meet the guidelines.
But hold on, you don't know that because the product could be good. It's just that it's not going to get opportunity to be in the shelf. So you sell it online, or what I see. What I think sometimes we miss out on is, I wouldn't. You know how people open up their business, right? They try to just sell their product only.
Right, I know that.
I think it would be beneficial sometime if me, you, and 4 or 5 other guys selling something similar but different. I think it would benefit all of us to have each other's product in the store because they may not, in one state they may want what I sell, and in where I'm at they may want what you sell. So then we can just
okay. Well, you're right. Well, we're swaying. Target, DEI or not, has a certain criteria for you to get your shit on their shelves.
You gotta have sales.
Oh, hold on. I don't know exactly what else goes with just sales, right? It's sales, but it has to be more than just the sales criteria. It's got to be more than just that one number.
The quality of the product, yeah.
Well, yeah, but like I'm saying, so you just said that there's a lot of businesses that can't get their product on their shelves because maybe they don't meet the criteria.
But how do we know? Yeah, that could be true. That could be true. That could be true. But we don't know.
Well, we have to assume that they get thousands of offers to people trying to get their shit on their shelves. That's part of their business. They probably get constantly bombarded with different entrepreneurs who are trying to make it into the big time. Now,
I can understand that.
Was one of those people. She just happened to have a product that sold, that met the criteria, and she said she fought hard to get it on. Now, unless we're saying she only got that because she's a black woman, DEI, I would argue that that's not true. I would argue that it always comes down to the bottom line for these things, that her thing was lucrative enough for them to give her shelf space.
Yes, I agree with that, because she's in the store. But she's not the first black woman that has her products.
Okay.
She's not the first one.
Okay,
And
you have to be the first one.
so what I'm saying is there have been great products way before her that wasn't in the stores. It was a local. You know what I'm saying? So it's only going to be so many. Now,
So you're saying that in the past, without DEI or without these, well, remember now for Target, DEI was self-imposed. So without that, we're saying that without that, nobody would get a shot in the past. Maybe you might be right. So in that one, I can because we don't know how to get that metric, right? So
were you around? Were you around when they had Afro Sheen, right?
Yeah, I was.
Remember that little spray, and it worked. It worked with black people's hair real good, real good. You no longer they took that off the shelf. To me, I look at things black and white. I always have. I was born and raised. Listen,
I know about DEI. I lived through it, man.
I was born and raised in a slave state, so I understand it.
If you want to talk about DEI,
but what I'm saying is, as man, I lost my thought. I just gonna come back, but
no, I'm sorry.
The right now, okay, I know what I'm saying. Okay, so with this shift of Trump pro-America, right? And these countries who are war torn, those people need somewhere to go. So you're going to see a shift of companies and corporations coming back to America. You're going to see that. You're going to see the investment of rebuilding America. So I think the DEI has to be, because you got to remember, America is going to be more diverse than what it is. It's going to be a lot more. But I think, again, whether her products in the store, that's an opportunity for her to be a gateway for other products to come into the stores. It's also opportunities for us who want to provide something to sell to the people, whether it's hair products, whether it's baking pies, whatever we do, sewing. I think for the future, we need to sort of come together in our little groups, maybe in our little states, and sort of build from there.
Coach, I got to ask you a couple of questions before you go too far, right? Two things. Do you think the boycott in itself is gonna be a success? And if it is it worth it if it hurts people like Tabitha Brown? Or is it self-defeating if it hurts people like Tabitha Brown and the people who might come after her?
Going forward, I think a boycott without a plan after the boycott, without a unification plan going forward, to have a voice going in there and say, hey, we need opportunity, we need to continue that, I think a boycott would hurt. Not just her, but anybody who's looking to get into those spaces, because that inclusion no longer includes us by default. It's going to be those other minority races who have skills coming to America, who ain't got no welfare.
This is my next segue. That's my next segue. So I'm staying on your tracking. You're saying that America is going to be more diverse than ever, right?
Yes.
So if America is more diverse, then why do we need DEI? Because if it's more diverse, it's just going to be by organically, it's going to be more people participating in the market.
That's true.
Well, that's what I'm just saying.
But here's what you say all the time. Based on what you say, if we at the bottom, if we at the bottom of that, it's going to hurt our younger future. And when I say that, I'm including my son and your daughters, because they're young, looking to get a foot in the door. And that now, with that wording of the Becky can now trump your babies because
my babies are not that much babies. My oldest is like 30.
That's still a baby. That's still a baby.
Hold on. Their biggest issue for me, right? You might be right with them. The other one is 25. She'll be 26 this year.
Okay.
And they're both working in the professions they went to school for.
I can understand that. They got them jobs now, but with that diversity and that DEI gone, they could survive.
But that's provided that they got those jobs based on that. That's not true.
No, they mad. I'm sure they work hard. Most of us work hard.
I'm just saying that most people in those jobs, DEI going away doesn't kick people out of jobs that they already have, as long as those companies still need those jobs. You know what I'm saying?
They can change the minorities in those jobs too, Arpan.
Nah, man, that's not what's
They can do that.
That's not what's gonna happen, man.
I ain't saying it's gonna happen. They could do that. The DEI is no longer there.
And that's not why they're gonna come on. What's up, Lit? Go ahead, man. Enjoy the conversation.
Listen, I've been listening to the conversation, man, across what we've been listening to and across the board from different places. And our greatest enemy is ignorance. You know what I'm saying? And my whole thing is this: the more information you have, the better decisions that you can make. I'm going to give y'all an example on how this whole conversation is derailed because of ignorance. And I'm telling you, I can speak from experience because I've been in these situations where they've had to select people for a specific reason. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, here's the situation. The DEI was designed for governments not to discriminate against folks. That had absolutely nothing to do with private business. Okay. Private business already knows that it's good to have different people from different demographics because those people bring different ideas so that your product sells across the board. Now, this whole thing with Tabitha is concerned is that she has a product that is good, not just for Black people, for people in general. Okay. Our problem is that we as Black people feel like we should make a product and everybody should buy it just because we're Black instead of the product actually solving the problem for everybody. That's our issue. We feel like we're entitled for us to have stuff just because we made it. I'll give you an example. A lot of times we like to come up like you, Trey Ferg, you talked about the hair products before. Well, guess what? White folks have no need for our hair pudding. You know, that's just for us. But my whole thing is this: if you want a product that everybody sells, you want to make money, you need to solve a problem that everybody sells. You know what I mean? Everything created solves a problem. If you want more money, you find a problem that needs to be solved for a whole lot more people than just your people. And that's just the nature of business anyway. You know, do you think they build cars just for Black folks? Do you think they build cars just for white folks? Do you think they build cars just for Asian folks? Hell no. They build cars for anybody who can afford to buy them. It gets you to point A and to point B. And what the market decides is that, hey, you know, we have a lot of people in this particular income bracket who can buy this specific car. Let's just get good at selling cars in this specific bracket. Once those cars sell good, then hey, we're gonna sell to another demographic, people who got more money. And that's how they graduate different products. But as far as this whole DEI thing is concerned, we need to start doing more research on why they removed it. The reason why they removed it is because certain people were getting extra points just because they were Black, just because they were female, just because they were LGBTQ and XYZ. It wasn't the fact that they were better than the next candidate or anybody who was available. It was the fact that they were getting extra points. And the mere fact of them getting extra points is automatically discriminating against other qualified people. And that is the discussion that we need to be having. And anytime we get bogged down into the details, I think the only thing that we have a problem with is our own ignorance is slowing us down. That's the only reason why I came up here, because I needed to clear that up, because the conversation is getting out of hand.
I got you. No,
I believe as far as the
I agree with everything you just. I mean, I agree. I mean, just didn't articulate it, but that's exactly right. That's a good answer to all of that stuff. You know,
here's the thing, Arpan. There used to be a time where being Black had the word excellence tied to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened was we actually were better people because we actually buckled down and we understood the subject matter and the product of whatever it is that we decide, the subject matter we decide to get good at. You know, if we wanted to be a good radio announcer, we would have to go to broadcasting school and be good and be articulate and be just as good as everybody else. You know, and then after that, you know, you would actually become good and people will hire you because you're good, not because you're Black. And I think DEI is one of those things that's going to have to be reset, where we're going to have to start being good instead of relying just on our color. And, you know, the thing about it is our women are the greatest benefactors to this. And you can tell by how they actually interact with us. You know, you should actually bow down to what I'm doing because I'm black, because I'm a woman. No, the guys are pushing back, saying, no, we want to go somewhere that people treat us like we somebody. You see what I'm saying? We going somewhere that treats us like they want our business. And I think that if you go back and you look at a lot of sisters who had their businesses, they'll take that same mentality that they have relationships and they apply it to their businesses, and they wonder why their businesses don't work. Well, look how you treat your relationships. Relationships are nothing more than a business. And my whole thing is this: if you treat your relationship like a business and you run your business like a relationship and it's bad, it's going to be bad across the board. And that's a reflection on what we have today.
There you go. There you go.
But I agree what he's saying about, you know, this whole LGBTQ and a lot of this, you know what I'm saying? That right there is messing up the whole, whether it's affirmative action or DEI. But I can tell you this. But see, here's the thing though, based off what's going into the future, think about it. Saying it all the time. Brothers don't enroll in college like that. Brothers get certifications in whether it's trucking or military. And if brothers could take advantage of this technological wave, then they're going to have those certifications to be in those positions. And a lot of young brothers, and that's the catch-22. The women may do it, they may do it, but it still creates a major gap.
Not a catch-22. I mean,
But what I'm saying is, brothers gonna work hard. They just it's just that now the inclusion takes us. It puts everybody coming into America in that position if they have that
qualification. All the people coming into America. We just talk about America. Listen,
right? They gonna be citizens.
The only people who are squawking about this whole DEI thing, to me, it seems like mostly black folks. Again, and of course, we don't have to re-litigate it. I mean, because it is a point system, and it became unbalanced and unfair. The only issue is how we're going to navigate the waters such as they are now. And one of the things is that we gotta stop looking for these safety nets where they don't exist anymore. Now, so the brothers have the problem we have in the black community, which is not DEI related, is that our boys are not being trained properly because they're being raised by women.
That ain't got nothing to do. The women are part of it, but even in the education,
it does have something to do with it.
They're part of it. That's a part of it.
Does have something to do with it because
but it's a three-headed monster. That's a three-headed monster, Upend.
They don't have intestinal fortitude.
But that's a three-headed monster too.
Well, it might be a 10-headed monster, but I'm just saying the bottom line is they're not getting the nourishment that they need to become men that could stand on their own 2 feet. For whatever reason.
It's being raised by mom only, not having a relationship with the father also, because that's important. And the education that's pushed. A public education is crap. They don't do no science. They don't do anything math and tech. It's all about literacy.
We're gonna have another live because I think he wants to get rid of the Department of Education too.
See? Yeah, okay. All right, then.
We'll see how that goes. Okay. But anyhow, I got one more video that I want to show. Right. Because, this is about a black man talking about, and maybe he's not too far off from what Lit just said. And I don't want to stray too much because I think he hit the point really well in terms of just being ignorant about this thing. I know that the challenge, we're up for a challenge. And the key is to be up for the challenge and not worry about this damn blanket of DEI. The women are going to worry about it, but men, we can't afford to worry about it. And we can't worry about what they're doing because they're already lost to us, if you ask me. So let me just show this last video. I got a piece that I think is interesting enough. And it's a brother talking about why he thinks there's problems with the DEI program.
Everyone's responsibility.
DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. That sounds nice and responsible. No wonder all big companies now require employees to get training in it.
Because we understand that racial and systemic bias have many causes, sources, and ways of showing up within each of us.
Even if that's true, do you know what American companies now do to address it? Some make ritual apologies for America's past.
We want to acknowledge that the land where the Microsoft campus is situated was traditionally occupied by the Sammamish.
By proclaiming guilt, companies try to signal that now they're virtuous.
The Snohomish, the Tulalip.
It's nice to apologize.
Yes, but what is it really doing?
Eric Smith was a diversity officer at Drew University. Now he teaches at York College. Why'd you stop being a diversity officer?
I just thought it was a useless thing. There's a better way to go about doing this.
Diversity and inclusion.
Useless or not, companies continue to pay big money for trainings.
There's a whole industry now designed to cater to companies looking for a quick way to check that box. In the US in 2020, DEI was a $3.4 billion industry.
Every big company.
They feel like they have to. They have to say something. They have to signal to the world that they're doing something.
Is it effective?
No. In fact, it seems to be doing worse. It seems to be making people less likely to interact with people who are unlike them, you know, because it's like a minefield now.
Less likely to interact.
After a training where you hear things about microaggressions, if you ask somebody what they do for a living, somehow that's racist, right? If you learn that, then why would you take a chance?
I better not talk to Eric because I might say something wrong.
Precisely. So now inclusion means I'm going to silence myself and not talk to the Black people.
All white people are racist.
Some train.
Did you hear what she just said?
I heard it.
You know what? Okay, listen. I stopped it here for a second, okay? And we'll play it back a little bit. Maybe I'll play it too.
Myself and not talk to the Black people.
All white people are racist.
Some trainings are just divisive and dumb.
I believe that white people are born into not being human.
This is extreme.
Wait a minute, man. You know what, man?
People are born into not being human.
All right. Okay. So I just want to stop it there, okay? For a second. Just think about it. You're a white dude, right? You're taking this class, and a 500-pound woman, right, tells you that you're not human, right? And that you have some, and so you're looking at her and you're saying, well, suppose I was teaching a class on obesity and you were sitting in this seat and I say, well, you know, the fact that you're 800 pounds, you know, the fact that you're 800 pounds, you know, it's because you have no discipline in life or whatever the hell that is. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm sitting back saying, you know, how could she even form, whatever training it is, how could she form her lips to say that to a classroom full of people? Does that shit make any sense to you? And that's the way a lot of that DEI training is. You know, one of the biggest problems I thought Black folks have is that we constantly want white people to feel guilty that they're white, to feel some kind of way. And I think that's always been a mistake. Anyway, so, I mean, that was just one clip. I mean, it's like she doesn't realize what she looks like up there saying that shit.
This is extreme, I take it.
It is extreme, but it's becoming more of the norm.
These slides were shown at a Coca-Cola diversity.
Be that's white. You know,
but that's
training was trying to be less white.
Go ahead. Man, listen, what was the number that they gave? Over $1 billion just for that teaching, right?
Yeah, $4.2 billion.
That's the same as them trying to bring people who were born like me and you into the schools to read to the children. That's all it is, just on a professional level. They was trying to put those that want to be somebody else in those positions where it's normal. They was trying to normalize that behavior. And Trump ain't with that. I agree with that 1,000%. You know, contrary to outside of our community, the rest of the world don't want all that in their face. They don't want 6-foot dudes coming up there with blonde weaves down to their back and knees and all. They ain't with all that, man. So I'm with it. I mean, I'm not mad that he did that.
Well, let me tell you, there's enough Black folks who ain't with it either. They just was too afraid to say anything.
Things like that. That is by no means a white thing. The point is to demonize the other side as much as possible.
And absurdly, diversity trainings don't even do what they're supposed to do. This Harvard professor analyzed studies of them.
Sadly enough, I did not find one single study which has found that diversity training, in fact, leads to more diversity.
In fact, the Harvard Business Review reports 5 years after diversity training, the share of Black women managers actually decreased.
It's not about data, it's about a power grab.
A power grab that starts in schools.
Melt the steel bars.
There you go.
And white language supremacy.
This expert tells teachers it's racist to teach traditional English.
If you use a single standard to grade your students' languaging, you engage in racism. You actively promote white language supremacy, which is the handmaiden to white bias in the world.
Smith was in the audience.
I heard that, thought it was a bit misguided.
So Smith wrote a long and thoughtful response saying it's a disservice to minority kids not to teach standard English. For that, he was attacked.
We are professors in communication. I thought we could communicate. I was so wrong.
Instead of a discussion, people called you racist. Do you enjoy using Western modes of argument to invalidate people of color? Check your privilege.
What they saw in me was a bigger threat than anything they've seen before. A Black person saying it's okay to teach Black students standardized English.
An academic named Eve complained about the harm Smith consistently perpetuates. Other academics joined in to coddle Eve. Eve spent tremendous labor, physically, intellectually, and emotionally, to write his response, and most probably took him extra time to recover from that labor.
Jesus Christ. Come on. Just come on, man. Golly. You talking about Snowflake City.
There are victims everywhere.
Yes, that's the point. You have to perpetuate the victimhood. That's part of the narrative.
It just isn't even logical discussion. Has academia gone insane?
Yes. That's the short answer. Yes, it has gone insane.
I was surprised that the leader of that academic conference agreed to talk to me.
You engage in racism.
He's since grown a beard. If you use a single standard to grade your students' language, you engage in racism.
Standardized English tends to exclude many groups of people.
My parents came here from Germany. They made me learn standardized English. Were they being oppressive? I mean, where would I be if they hadn't?
There are absolutely benefits to a standardized English, but that same world creates those same benefits through certain kinds of biases, and they can be bad for many folks who simply are not going to be able to meet that standard. I'm simply saying that I don't think everyone needs to be held to it.
If they're not held to it, how can they succeed?
Yeah, I think that they do. I think that they can.
He was much more measured than he'd been lecturing his fellow professors. I think you're toning it down for my audience here, because you in your conference speech were all about this is an oppressive country and white racism, white dominance.
I tried to be rhetorical, and I tried to use the moment to make a statement.
In other words, he played to the crowd.
Your students who do not embody enough of the white habits of language that make up your standards stand at your classroom doors and die for your comfort.
That anger is the norm with DEI advocates.
You know what? Listen, Malcolm X said it best way back when. He said the biggest enemy of Black people was the white liberal. Because, I mean, it's more than just a wolf in sheep clothing. I mean, they're saying shit like that they can't possibly believe, but it coddles people and keeps you in this little bubble. And there's no, it's just bad.
At Stanford Law School, a judge who'd been invited to speak was stopped by angry students and Stanford's Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Absolute disenfranchisement of their rights and Gusland.
The diversity dean lectured this federal judge for 6 minutes.
Is it worth the pain that this causes and the division that is caused? You have something so incredible, important to say about Twitter and guns and COVID, that is worth this impact on the division of these people.
At least the law school president later apologized, saying this violates Stanford's commitment to free speech. Good. I'm glad some sensible people push back against nonsense like this. And when it comes to DEI, this education reformer, Chris Rufo, proposes an alternative. EMC, equality, merit, and color blindness.
I like equality and merit and color blindness. Merit is a good thing.
But demanding it, we're told, hurts minorities.
Our students of color struggle and fail even when we are there to help them.
So some colleges drop admissions tests. High schools eliminate honors classes.
What is that going to do to an entire group of people? Nothing good. I mean, if you wanted to hold down a group of people without them knowing it, this woke thing is a good strategy.
The gap between Black and white students is widening, minority and underserved students falling further behind.
What's the better way?
Talking. People don't say what they feel because they don't want to get canceled. They don't want to be called racist. People are censoring, and we have to stop doing that.
I agree with you. You know, the censorship is an issue. I think one of the bigger issues also is that the prerequisites of higher learning is missing in the Black community. And it's not an excuse because every so often some people sneak through, but it depends on whether they run into the right people or not. I'm just saying, you know, the coddling, the liberalism, you're the victim, that shit is so prevalent in our community. We make excuses where there should be no excuses. We make exceptions where there shouldn't be any exceptions. So, you know, listen, we're going to have to survive in this. We're going to have to survive in this new environment. And until we understand that, we need to stop fighting the changes and lean into them so we're prepared for what's coming up in front. So, you got any last words, man?
Yeah, but just listen, that's why I think this future movement for brothers is to our advantage. I've been saying this for a while. I think that, you know, in a short period of time, a few years, I give everything 4 years for a brother. Over the next 4 years, brothers are going to be moving into a better position because we've already heard and saw from our own women that they're not really rocking with us like that. We've already seen that. But we also see that as far as the world is concerned, we have to compete against the world. I think I'm going to see, I believe it's going to be a shift. DEI, he's going to know now, because most men are thinking about, okay, I mean, I got to be able to put in the work. I can't say I want all of this money if I'm not preparing myself over the course of the time. And I think the brothers that do that will win tremendously in the end, because now we can take our skills around the world. America's going to be a lot more diverse over the next 4 or 5 years. And I don't think to me, the women that I guess continue the same behavior, they're going to struggle. But also, I think for us as men, if we can find a way to try to get some of these laws changed so we can be the father by default, whether we with the parent or not, it'll change the world. It'll change the world, because the greatest confidence for a boy is a father. And if this DEI, you know, it's just all part of the whole feminist rhetoric behavior. It's just been exposed. It's going to be done over with. And those who thought that they benefited from it, they're going to suffer because they're going to have to pull their own weight. That's all America's saying. If you live in America, you got a Social Security card, you got to pull your weight. So it is what it is.
Well, here's my thing, right? I think what you're saying will be great, but I think it's a little naivete in it, because the kids that are coming up, I don't know what they're listening to, right? Other than the same old rhetoric that they hear. Now, if they're listening to any black leaders, right? Any black leaders in commercial airways, they're going to be hearing victimization bullshit. They're not going to be hearing that, you know, they're going to hear that without DEI, they're not going to be able to make it. You know, they're going to get that from your Al Sharptons.
But they're not our leaders anymore. They no.
They're gonna get that from. I agree, but I don't know if they all got put to bed, right? All the fucking comedians, the people from the actors and the athletes, they all talk the same stupid shit. Who are the leaders that's gonna tell them they're straight skinny? Who has a big enough platform that they're gonna listen?
It don't have to be somebody in that space. It can be somebody who's working hard in the mix right now. Because that's what I think YouTube does. It doesn't have, if you're looking for the movies, I guess the entertainers.
No, I'm not looking for that. I'm saying
not you are paying. I'm talking about the young man. I'm talking about the young man.
Saying that where's the platform that's saying that?
It's all over YouTube, Arpain. It's all over YouTube.
It's not nearly enough people.
Okay, Arpain. So that's why I said earlier, brothers like you need to go to the footstool and talk to them young brothers in our educated space, Arpain, because you're an educated man. They love you. They will, if you can find a way to get 20 guys in a space and give them some of that Arpain baby boomer love for 6 months, you would change the world. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you. I would love to do that, right?
You would change the world, I'm telling you.
Well, you know, I can start, man, with the one or two brothers who actually still come to my church.
Hey, that's a start, and they got friends. So.
Yeah, well, let's put it that way. But listen, it's a word. There's a different word that needs to be told to these guys, and you're correct. We got to spread that word one to another, and hopefully somebody will hear it. But you got YouTube channels like Sharon talking the bullshit that he's talking. And
they in their 30s. They almost 40. Not those. Those guys are too old. They already hurt in pain and went through life.
Well, we got platforms like the Angry Man who has a nice wide audience, and he doesn't talk no bullshit, man. I'm sure he more in line with, you know,
a few brothers.
Yeah,
they find in their face.
There's a few brothers out there. Other than that, man, you know, listen, this is the longest live I had in a long time on this channel. It's usually over. I mean, I'm glad you came up, man. TJ came up, Lick came up. Lick came up because he couldn't take it no more. He said, I can't take this shit no more. I gotta come up.
I can understand, but see, you gotta get in those spaces, man.
He came up saying, see, I can't take it no more. I gotta come and straighten these guys out.
Yeah, DEI. Yeah. I ain't mad at the DEI. Get rid of all that men turning to women. Get rid of all that old space. Get all that. Earn your keep. If you want to join the special forces, you better be able to carry a 200-pound man, ladies, and then you can get your qualifications in there.
So. Hey, how you doing, lady? No more.
Appreciate y'all, man.
So anyway, man, that's all right, man. Thanks a lot, man. Come on up. All right, you're out of here. All right. All right. Hey, listen, everybody. You know me. I listen. I started a trend, so I don't want to stop it. I do think that one of the things I think we also miss is that we're not just Black people. We're Americans, you know, and where the country goes, we go. You know, where we go, the country goes. Both we're intertwined here. You know, the benefits that if there's benefits to be had in America, we need to be, sharing those benefits. We damn sure are sharing all the bad shit. So when the good stuff happens, we gotta share that as well. As the politics change, there's still something in it for all of us. I'm not afraid of what Donald Trump has coming, right? I didn't have to be a big fan. I just knew that the last person on earth I would vote as president was Kamala Harris. I would have voted in a ham sandwich over her. And I have my reasons, you know, and I've said them more than enough on here. And it's not because she was a woman. You know, I wouldn't feel the same way about Tulsi Gabbard. So with that, you know, I think that we should start looking at ourselves beyond our skin and say that whatever they're talking about, how do we fit in, right? DEI, if it's not a detriment, it's not a detriment to anybody else, it shouldn't be a detriment to us either, right? If meritocracy benefits everybody, that damn sure would benefit us as well. right? So we have to find a way to have more people saying, yeah, speaking the King's English is what we need to do. That kind of stuff. Building families is what we need to do. But, guys are going to have to be able to and be willing to search to the ends of the earth to find the kind of woman that fits your program. If you can't find it here in America, or if you can't find it with a Black woman, find somebody who makes you, especially if you want to have a family, then protect your seed at all times. Protect yourself, protect your seed, because it's really gold. And we can't let people just, because they have a vanity and they want to flex and be a single baby mama, we got to stop giving that grace to random women. We got to stop doing that. The best way we can, because I know it's hard to tell men not to go after sex since we take it any way we can give it. But you know what? A woman doesn't deserve to have your seed if she's not going to let you be part of the baby's life, especially if you want to be. So you got to stop giving that away, because the sons that's being produced and the daughters that's being produced are putting us behind the 8 ball. Anyway, so listen, it's America first. Let's move as Americans. The country is moving in a different direction. Certainly the 4 years that's going to be under Trump, there's a couple of things that's not going to happen. We're not going to be canceled because we don't agree with, transvestites walking up and down the street in the parade naked. We're not going to get canceled for that, right? We're not going to get canceled, and people are not going to get fired because you don't want to say some stupid pronoun, that somebody's trying to force you to do. You're not going to get fired when a man, who's got a schlong goes into a girl's locker room and puts his schlong in her face while they're undressing. We're not going to get canceled for that anymore. We can say something about it without fear. Finally, all the woke shit, we're going to get a reprieve. Now, are some Americans going to be dumb enough to vote that stupid shit back in? That's yet to be seen in 2020, 26 and 28. But I hope not. I hope, I'm on the other side, I hope for you young people that we don't vote in the stupidness, the liberalism, the people who leave reservoirs dry in a fire area because they're worried about putting more women and lesbians in high places, and then they're not doing their job. So that's California, worrying about smelt fish and letting all the fresh water go out into the sea as opposed to flow all the way down from the north to the south like it's supposed to. All of these things we need to stop doing, right? We just need to stop doing. Anyway, with that, I'm going to leave you with this. I always love my AI song. I'm going to leave you with this one, and you tell me how it is. And with that, I'll say good night afterwards. And this is not one of my better ones, but I like it anyway. If I can find it. Where is around? Did I get it? No, there it is. Wow, there it is. Okay.
Underneath the shining stars where love's sweet anthem plays, a symphony of hope and dreams drives our hearts through the maze. The rhythm's wide as gentle shores, our souls entwined as one. Together we will rise and shine as humanity's embrace. America's true glory, and every heart it grows. Around us of tomorrow, to love within us glows. Together we'll be rising, as stars begin to fall. And on and me forever, that's a freedom's call. Every heartbeat radiates the stories of our fight. From different paths, but hand in hand, we find our share of light. Show the promise of tomorrow, a vision crystal clear. We dance to the rhythm of our dreams without a trace of fear. Every voice will lift the sound, the choir of the brave. every street feels sad to see the trees and shit to go. America's true glory, in every heart it grows. Promise of tomorrow to love within us flows. Together we'll keep rising as the stars begin to fall. In harmony forever, as our freedom's call. America's true glory, in every heart it grows. Promise of tomorrow to love within us flows. So here's that united, our spirits soaring high. In the melody of freedom, together we will fly.
Thanks to the chat. Thanks for everybody for showing up. I appreciate the conversation. I hope, when it came up, we put a little bit more perspective on what we were talking about, but we're going to have to live with it. DEI is gone, and we're going to have to be able to navigate the new waters. So with that, everybody, I say good night.